Hello and welcome to another episode of JdbMOTO. Today I'm going to be completing an engine oil change on my 2021 BMW GSA. This is going to be the 40th anniversary edition. So what are you going to need as far as supplies go? So you're going to need, obviously, your engine oil. Here's going to be your oil filter. As far as where you're going to catch the oil, we have our receptor right here. Not necessary, but if you want to do it, you're going to go ahead and use some gloves to keep your hands clean. Now, to remove the drain bolt, you're going to be using a 10mm Allen key. To remove the skid plate, there's going to be 5 bolts. You're going to be using a T30 Torx. Now, before you do that oil change, what you want to make sure is that your motorcycle, whether it's going to be a 1250 or 1200, you have it up to operating temperature. That way, the viscosity of the oil is going to be better to drain that oil. So let's go ahead and turn that motorcycle on so we can go ahead and start the process. So now that we got our engine up to operating temperature, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove over here. This is going to be your engine oil cap. So BMW on the rear seat comes with the tool that you're going to need. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and remove the screw end. There's going to be a T Torx. You're going to see you're going to have a wider, narrower side. So you're going to go to the wider, and with the T side, you're going to go ahead and put it in place. Now you're going to be able to see this right here is going to be the same shape as what we're going to have to remove. So let's go ahead and put it in place and give it a good twist. And now you're able to remove this part and just twist it around. I like to do this just because it allows your engine oil to drain a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and leave it there. So if you're able to see, you're able just to pull it out. So what I want to do is just basically remove any type of vacuum that the engine might have between your oil cap and your engine drain bolt. Let's go ahead now and remove our 5 bolts from the skid plate. So we're able to go ahead and get to access our engine drain. You're going to be able to see here's going to be our oil drain, and that's basically what we're going to do now. What we're going to go ahead and remove so we can go ahead and change our oil. So now that our oil is basically done draining, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and still leave it open. That way we don't create any type of vacuum. I'm going to go ahead and remove my oil filter. The oil filter is going to be too tight for me to be able to do it by hand. So what you can do, you can either buy a BMW oil filter cap to remove your oil filter, or you could go and do like me. I went ahead and bought one from Walmart that is commonly used on vehicles. This is going to be too tight, as you can see, for me to do it by hand. So let's go ahead and do it now. So I'm going to go ahead and just basically just around as close as you can to the outside. Now you're going to go ahead and start slowly spinning it around. And you're going to be able to see here. So you can see the oil filter is already moving. So as you can see, as soon as I open my oil filter, I have more oil draining from my engine as well as where my oil is. So I'm going to wait probably another few minutes wait for all that oil to come out. Once we have it like that, we're going to go ahead and start the new process. One thing that you just saw that I removed is going to be the gasket from the old oil filter. You want to make sure you keep an eye on that. If you by accident happen to leave the old gasket in place, more than likely you're going to end up having an oil leak, or perhaps you're going to end up having like a failure on the road, which is something that nobody wants to have. So this is going to be the same oil filter that we have here. You're able to see this is going to be a same male oil filter. So again, you could find this from the Beamer Boneyard. I don't get a single penny, but it's a good place if you're looking to do maintenance yourself. So as we see, the gasket already comes taped at the top of your oil filter. Oil drain bolt. Here's my gasket. I'm going to go ahead and put it in place. Perfect. There we have it. So that's one thing we got to worry about. You might not be able to notice a whole lot, but the old gasket compared to the new gasket that we have installed is a little bit thinner from the pressure when you put it in. Here's going to be where my oil filter goes. It's going to go in this place. It's completely clean. There's no more oil draining. I'm going to go ahead and now proceed to install my new oil filter. Since this is going to be a sideways oil filter installation, I'm not going to add any oil. So what I'm going to do is, here we have my engine oil, the new one that's going to be going in. I'm going to remove the cap from here. What I like about Liquid Moly is going to be that you basically have a spout built in, so it makes it easier when you're going to install. So I'm going to go ahead and just dip my finger, and we have the gasket here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just lubricate the gasket so that way it sits in here. So now that we have it, we're going to go ahead and put it in place. I'm going to do a hand tight. So now I'm going to use the same tool that I had before to loosen the filter. I'm going to use the same thing right now to just give it a little bit of a tight. That way it's nice and snug in there. That way we minimize the chances of having a leaky oil filter. So now that we have it, let's go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead and put how many Newton meters you're going to need for each one. The only thing that we have left to do at this point is to go ahead and add engine oil. So again, the oil kit that comes from BMW Boneyard comes as well with a new O-ring for your oil cap. So let's go ahead and put that in. So here we have it. Here's the new O-ring. So that way you reduce any type of chances of having any type of oil leaks. So let's go ahead and add it. So what I'm going to do is, so this is going to be, again, the jug from the BMW Boneyard. This is going to be a 4-liter. This is what basically this engine called for, 4 liters or 1.1 gallons of oil. So this side, we're going to have our measurements. You're able to see you have, it's going to be down to 3, 2, 1. So, and then once you get here, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just add about 3.5 and about 3 liters. I'm going to cycle my engine. That way I see how much oil I have on the side glass after I run the engine and let it sit for 5 minutes. You want to make sure when you're looking at your engine oil that you're looking at it from the, it's going to be always sitting on your center stand. That way you get the best reading possible. Okay, let's go ahead and now turn our engine off. So one thing that you want to keep in mind is the side glass is always going to be empty once your engine is running. But now what we're going to be looking for is for our oil, as you can see, it's already starting to fill, to see how far it's going to go. Ideally, you want to go ahead and be between the bottom ring and the top ring. So I'm going to go ahead and wait 5 minutes. That's what the BMW owner's manual states, that you should wait to see how much oil you have in your engine. Okay, 5 minutes have passed and we barely got any much more oil than when we first started. So what I'm going to do now is, given that we're literally right at the bottom of the spectrum, I'm going to go ahead and add probably half a quart, just to make sure that we're not going over what we should be. Another 5 minutes have passed since I topped off the oil a little bit more. So you can see now we're going to be literally higher. I like to be personally between the halfway between the O-ring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add perhaps a quarter of a quart more, and then that more than likely will be it for this oil change. So we added the last quarter of 1 quart to the engine. As you're able to see, we are slightly below the halfway mark inside the O-ring. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there because we're going to be within specs for this BMW. Now guys, the only thing that we have left to do is going to be basically just add the 5 bolts to the skid plate, put it in place, and after that, it's going to be resetting the service light, which I'm going to show you in my next video. But if you enjoy this content and my other motorcycle week content, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys on my next video.